Hi, everyone. It's meteorologist Joe Chaffee on this Thursday. I wish it were Friday. I just had to basically double my snowfall estimates because after I looked at some of the models that came in tonight, and I was actually quite surprised, although I really shouldn't be because we've had already several events this winter that have decided to become more aggressive at the last minute, and this one apparently is doing the same thing. I am really not confident in this forecast. I have to tell you, there are a lot of things that bother me about it, including the fact that I'm concerned about what the temperatures are going to be when this all gets underway. But it's hard for me to fight what the models are doing, and basically what they're saying is that the temperatures are going to crash low enough, and that precipitation is going to be of greater intensity. So I originally had 2 to 3 inches over the area that you see here, so I just doubled it to 4 to 6 and expanded the area a little further north. Still basically thinking that Route 78 is the demarcation line as it has been all year. And from there south, I put it in a band of 2 to 4, and then lowering it down. If you draw a line from Toms River to Trenton southward, including Philadelphia, I took a shot here for southeastern PA and went 1 to 2 inches there. Also, I put in an area of 6 to 8 inches for central and eastern Long Island and southern Rhode Island, southeasternmost Connecticut, and into southeastern Massachusetts. There are winter storm watches up there anyway, so I guess it kind of makes sense. But I'm going to take you through a couple of the models tonight. And we're going to start with the rgem, and I'm going to get really close to close up so we can take a look. Basically what's happening is that you've got this wave that's developing on the front, which we expected, but the Arctic boundary seems to be getting stronger and more involved in all this, so that it just causes snow to just blossom during Thursday night and through Friday morning, and then the low takes quite a while to really move out. And there's also a bit of an Arctic front that comes down, and I think that also enhances snow here on the backside. So, the rgem has a fairly extensive area of snow here, and when we look at the total snowfalls, you can see on their map, much higher than what they were before. A general area of 4 to 6 inches, with 6 inches plus over eastern Long Island and southern Rhode Island and Connecticut. So I kind of looked at that and I thought, you know what, this makes the most sense to me, the way it has it, and it's got the southern edge of 4 down to just south of Route 195, so in New Jersey. So basically in Pennsylvania, along and north of Route 78, certainly along and north of Route 78 in New Jersey, you're talking 4 to 6 inches plus. Southeastern New York State, most of Connecticut south of Route 84. I think this model has probably the best representation of all of them. We'll look at the GFS, which really struck me, because the GFS basically has 6 inches, 6 to 8 or 9 inches in this reddish area that it blossoms out north of 78 and across Long Island, at least the northern half of Long Island and the Hudson Valley, and in through southern Connecticut south of Route 84. So I didn't want to go that high, but the GFS, this was the first model I saw tonight when it came out, and it kind of blew me away. So here's that wave, and it's a nice little wave there with some pretty decent precip. In fact, when we look at the precip amounts, and I'll pull those up, total accumulated precip here. We're talking 3/4 of an inch to an inch of liquid being generated here by the GFS. I mean, if that were all snow, it would be 7 to 10 inches of wet snow. So I'm just kind of cutting it in half. But I was really surprised to see this. And when we look at I'll just punch the rgem back up again just to show you. And the rgem model also 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch in a fairly wide area. The Canadian model also got, for it anyway, it got aggressive with an area of 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch covering northern New Jersey, southeastern New York, and southern Connecticut. Lesser amounts over Long Island. I'm not sure why. I'm just going to add the last couple of frames here, but still I gave every bit of 4 to 5 tenths. And the Canadian for the snowfall gives a pretty good pocket of 4 to 6 inches. So like I said, I'm not going to fight this. I'm just going to go along with what's there. And when we put the precipitation on the map, we'll go back on the Canadian model, and you can see, it develops the wave pretty much the same way, maybe a little less robust than the other two models, but the Canadian's been kind of behind the curve on this and catching up. So, at some point you have to just give in. So I'm going to just give you real quick, because a real quick look at what's happening down the road, and we'll get into this more tomorrow. But there's that first wave goes out. It gets very cold here in the Northeast this weekend. Here's that second system with some snow in Missouri, southern Illinois, back through Kentucky and Tennessee, and eastern Kansas with rain to the south. And, low pressure develops along the Gulf states. Looks like the models now want to take a fairly intact low out off the Carolinas. And you can see it here. This is for Sunday night. And then that goes out. And here's the energy with the next northern system. So it tries to make a low, but on this run, the Canadian actually is a little closer to the coast than it was on its prior run. But because it is a little bit more robust with this first wave, it leaves a little less room for the second. So that is a consideration here as a possibility. But I'm going to just say this. In lieu of what's happening now with this particular system, I really am not going to take too seriously what the model literally does on this run because there's just too many factors going on. So I want to wait and listen. If it just because it shows it a little further east now doesn't necessarily mean that will be the case when we get inside 48 hours. So the GFS kind of does the same thing on this run. It has a more intact wave that goes out off the Carolinas, and now here comes all that energy from the next system. Starts to develop that low, but takes it on this run a little bit further to the east. Okay, I'm not surprised at this. I would not at all be surprised to see it wind up jogging a little further west if the players change when we look at this later on in the day on Thursday. So let's just review real quick my new snowfall forecast. Again, a fairly large area of 4 to 6 inches, mainly north of Route 78 in New Jersey and into eastern Pennsylvania. 6 to 8 inches across central and eastern Suffolk County on Long Island, 4 to 6 inches elsewhere, also through southern Connecticut, a 6 to 8 band for southeastern Rhode Island, 2 to 4 inches north of Route 84, 2 to 4 inches south of Route 78 to about 195, and then 1 to 2 inches as you go further south from there. So latest web posts on meteorologistjoechoppy.com, and good time to have my app to download my specific forecast for New York City, New Jersey, Long Island, Connecticut, Hudson Valley, and eastern Pennsylvania. Just 99 cents a month. The app is free, and you get in-depth detailed forecasts from me at least twice a day and more frequently when weather conditions warrant, and this is one of those weather conditions. So everybody have a great Thursday, and we'll have another video later on today, and we'll take a look at what's going on and look also at the long range.